to be 2 hours long, and I will try to speak to you entirely in English. So if you don't understand, let me know, and I try to speak slowly so you have a good understanding of what I said. Also, because it's going to be 2 hours long, so have some water ready and enjoy the talk. Okay, I'm going to start with my first slide. Again, I'm Chih-Yu Chen, and I love art, and I have done different kinds of art in my life. And today I'm going to talk to you not about art, but about opportunities around the world. Let's start with art residency program. So this is an overview of my talk today. Let's start off with some questions, and then you can ask yourself if you have answers for these questions, and if you do, then you'll think that my slides could be quite helpful. If you have trouble understanding or follow my words, you can turn on the CC at the bottom of your Google Meet, and that's called closed option, and you can read word for word of what I said. If that's easier for the understanding. First, I will talk about questions such as, should I apply for an artist residency? Is the residency right for me? Do I have enough resources to do an art residency? Things like that. And second, I will talk about the application process. What are the basic requirements, and how to deal with these requirements, especially artist statements. And third, we'll discuss what to watch out during the process. There could be pitfalls, scams, and things that if they don't point it out, that we don't know, especially about fees. And then I will discuss tips for writing statements and proposals. Then after this part of the talk, I'll switch direction to studying abroad. Studying abroad as an exchange student or to get an MFA. What are the requirements to get an MFA abroad? Lastly, I will touch on some topics about art-related jobs abroad through working holiday and being a street performer. So this is the overview of my talk, and so let's get into the first topic, artist residency. So before you consider art residency programs, you might want to think of some reasons why. Because if you don't have strong motivation, you may not want to follow through, or you might just give up in the middle of it. So why would you consider these programs? I come up with 4 common reasons that I think are beneficial. First, for a change of environment. As an artist, I know how important environment is to stimulate ideas, and a different kinds of environment help us come up with different themes, different influences. These influences help us create and innovate. And the second, for an exchange of ideas. When we do our residency programs, we will definitely meet other artists, gallery owners, art dealers, community members. And then with these people, we can share the cultural differences. We can talk about concepts and philosophies, and how these exchange of ideas will help us create and maybe get to know what they want, and that can help us go in the direction of what the community desire and what the values are. 3, for exhibition opportunities. At the end of our residency programs, you have opportunities to show your work. And I think that is a great opportunity for young people, especially want to get into the art scene, the art world, and show the world what you have in your collection. So these opportunities is just great. On top of that, on top of exhibition opportunity, you also have, you might even have to give a talk, give a lecture, and this talk and lecture you will have probably use a different language, and that will give you experience of speaking in a public setting in a different language. That would be great training. 4, which to me is probably the most, to me it's quite important because it's for a journey around the world. Our residency programs are located throughout the world. And if you travel the world by yourself, you may have to be responsible for different expenses. And these expenses can add up and create a dream becoming impossible. But as with our residency programs, institutions may pay part of your trip or entirely. So that is a great opportunity. Talking about journey around the world, I will give you an example of the great artist who's famous in Asia as well as all over the world, Zhang Daqian. He, as many of you might have already known, he's also a world traveler. And let's look at some of the places he has visited and how these places help him create his artwork. And his artistic footprints. He was born in Sichuan, China in 1899. And then when he was about 18, he went to study textile dyeing techniques in Japan. Specifically, I remember it's Kyoto, in Kyoto, Japan. In 1930s, he studied natural beauty all over China. That is the period of his life where he got so motivated to paint landscape and the beauty of nature. And in 1936, he had a personal exhibition in United Kingdom. And in 1952, he moved to Mendoza, Argentina. That is a very big move from Asia to South America. Then in 1954, he lived in Brazil, specifically Sao Paulo. Later part of his life, he lived in Carmel, California. And at that time, he traveled extensively in Northern California and penned a series of artwork and had a solo exhibition at Stanford University. And that was a great show which attracted a large crowd. I remember a crowd of 1,000 people at the reception. A show that built his reputation in North America. And later, in 1956, he met with Picasso in Nice, France. And in a lot of articles you read, these incidents will be mentioned because it's almost like an exchange of artistic ideas between the East and the West. and the exchange of paintings, and they had a great talk. So my point here is, when you have the opportunity to do your art, to show your art around the world, don't let it slide. Make use of the opportunity. So next, I have some slides showing that different environments where you can create your art, and that's available around the world. So if you are into rural setting, rural means countryside. So if you are into, meaning you like. So if you like rural setting, there are many residencies in this area. For example, this one is our residencies in Mexico. As you see, the artist is surrounded by nature, and the elements of nature could be incorporated in your creation. And very interesting about this residency is the living condition, and the studio seems quite exposed to nature, and some people would love to have that kind of setting. Next, if you are more of an urbanite is someone who lives in a city, and this residency is with Residency Unlimited in Brooklyn, New York. Brooklyn is one of the 5 boroughs in New York City, and then his proximity to art galleries, the art stores are probably something you might like, and especially the setting of a big city can be quite inspirational for people who like the cityscape. And this specific residency is in an old church. So this is actually a revamped church. Look at how beautiful it can be. How about creating in the jungle? This is a residency in Chiang Mai, Thailand. When we think of jungle, many words will surface, such as survivalism, mighty river, dense forests, and all these terms associated with jungle will definitely give you inspiration to create. And then look at the deep brown river in front of the house on stilts, and I just love that deep brown color. That is very, very much part of a jungle. So the last one I'm showing you is the Cité Internationale des Arts, Paris. It's the largest art residency organization probably in the world. And if you are interested, you can Google it. You'll find it easily. This art residency is open to people of all disciplines, from creative writing to graphic design, and the artists of all levels. So take a look at his website and see if you are interested in this one. And another reason for our residency is, which I mentioned in one of the 4 reasons, is to make contacts and the new friends. The contact here means in Chinese is called 人脉. So to make contacts, meaning you get a chance to form some kind of bonding with the gallery owner, the art dealers, and they could be quite helpful for your art career down the road. Of course, meet new friends. The friends could be the community members, your fellow artists, and don't forget to practice the local language. It could be English, or it could be other language, and mingle and have fun and get inspired. So I hope by now that you are interested in applying to our residency programs, and I am going to cover some of the basic requirements. Requirements means the things that you need to give it to them before you will be considered. So first, am I eligible? Eligible means qualified. Are you that's probably the first question. Am I qualified? What are the restrictions? First, they will ask you the basic 5 questions: which region you're from, and some of the programs are limited to people of certain region. For example, if they might limit to people who are only living in North America, or they might restrict to people who are who have to be a local in living in the same city. Next is nationality. Again, some residency may only be open to people of their own country. Next is age and discipline. Discipline is really the field you are in, the artistic field. And the range can be quite wide, from movie directing to architecture or creative writing to poetry. Next is career level. You might think, what is career level, and where am I? I just finished university, or I am still a student in school. So what's my career level? So we'll look at that in the next slide. So so you are Googling and looking for opportunities, and you come across call for entries. I give you the definition there. When you look at call for entries, you first, oh yes, exciting, someone, maybe I can apply. Then these 3 are the common words used for career level. First is emerging artists. As we know from English vocabulary, emerge means to appear, means to enter something. So emerging artists is basically for people who just who are getting into the art scene, who are trying to get into group show, who are trying to make contact with the professional in the art world. So this group of people may include you. So next is mid-career artists. Mid-career artists are people who have already established some kind of regional reputation. They may have joined group exhibitions, and they are planning on their solo exhibitions. And next, we have established artists. As we know from established, that means they already have a sense of establishment, accomplishment, and achievement. And they may have won national or international awards. They are able to make a living through their art, with contracts signed with gallery owners, and their work sold through art dealers. So understanding where you are in this career level. Then other keywords such as, is it an open call? So if it's an open call, meaning all are welcome. And if yes, then we have to consider other factors. So let's look at other factors. Another factor which we all concerned with is money. How much money is involved in these programs? So are there any fees? Fees involved in artist residency program should be clearly disclosed. Disclosed meaning stated clearly. It shouldn't be hidden and it should be said upfront. So what are examples of fees? Fees could be application fees, transportation fees. And then remember, transportation would mean the airfare tickets from your hometown to the destination. Then materials, accommodations. Accommodations means housing or where you will live during the time you were doing the residency, studio space, meals, local health insurance, and gallery space. The fees can go on, but just mention some of the common ones. If the fees, the related information about fees is kept vague. Vague means not clear or hidden. It could be a red flag. Perhaps it could be a scam, or it could be a fraud. And when you turn in the application with the application fee, you'll never get any news. So don't fall for those kind of fraud. Before I keep going, you will see words that I underlined, such as disclosed, or accommodations, or vague. These are the words that I think that they are common vocabulary that if you don't already know them, maybe you can, one of the bonus of listening to the talk is learn some vocabulary. And maybe you can use them in your conversation in English in the future. Next, like I said, there could be scam. So the art residency scams. Scam is just, people who lie and try to get your money. When an art residency program requires a substantial application fee, substantial meaning considerable or big amount, require a big amount of application fee, that could be a red flag. Remember the art residency program, some are non-profit and some are for-profit. And those residency programs are for-profit. They usually run based on the model of artist as customer business. Basically, they see artists as customer, and the application fee they submit is part of their profits. So make sure the application fee you pay it should be average, and then you can, when you Google, you will see what is the average price for the application fee. Next is misrepresentation. As an artist, you probably know the word represent. When we misrepresent, meaning you give a false image or false idea of what is real. So site and facilities may turn out to have been completely misrepresented. you may Google different art residency programs, you'll find, wow, that is a beautiful apartment. Wow, that is a beautiful studio. Everything looks so perfect. But then be careful. Then these pictures may misrepresent the real facilities. Next, some artist residency programs offer no support, and no support provided to artists. When we say support, support is quite important for people who just landed in a foreign country. You don't have any family members. You have no friends. You don't know how to even get to the city center. So support could mean how to take the local public transportation to where to buy groceries and where to do laundry and things like that. And next is no audience around to generate visibility for their work. Remember, at the end of the artist residency program, you are supposed to have a show to show what you have created, and it's the responsibility of you and the responsibility of the program is to generate audience for you so that they are invited to look at your work. And the generate means to produce visibility or publicity for your work. Next, if you receive emails inviting you to take part in the artist residency, it can sound fishy. I don't know about you because I have received many kinds of emails asking me to take part in their exhibition. Sometimes I just think that it's just very questionable or fishy, because what they want is the scammers are after your application fee. They want you to turn in that $50 US, or sometimes could be as expensive as $100 US. Like I said, you send it in and you never see update or follow up, as if your application fee simply being taken away. So those are the things to watch out when you apply for our residency programs. Next, I talked to you about some of the ways to spot out what could be a scam or fraud. Now let's look at ways to find out or help yourself to prevent yourself from being cheated. Why is there a fee? Some organizations will make this information available in order to be transparent about how these funds are used. Like I said, some organizations are nonprofits, and especially the nonprofit ones will make this information available so that for tax reason, they won't get into trouble. So they need to be transparent, meaning clear about how the money is used. But for the private ones, this may not be so readily available. You might have to ask around for it. Next, what do other artists have to say? Do some research to see who has participated and find out what their experiences were like. and then you could do a simple research, which may bring up a blog post or forum thread where other artists have shared similar concerns. This is just like the way when we book hotels. When we book hotel, we always look at other people's reviews. And you could do the same thing here. You will find out what other artists have to say, and you can read it through the blog or the forum. Forum is basically an online collection of talk. People mention the topics, and then there's like a QA session online, and you can follow the thread of people who might have experienced some kind of fraud, and you can learn from it. Okay, so we'll go to the next slide. A lot of our residency programs are not free, and you might think, I just finished school, or I'm still in school, and I don't have money for that kind of experience. So you might think, are there fully funded residency, meaning you pay literally nothing for it, and you just go and create? Is it possible? Yes, there are some. And here is an example, which I did research online. It's called Alex Brown Foundation. It's in Indiana, USA. And this residency program is for emerging and established artists. And they look at the rewards. They'll give you $1,000 monthly stipend. So stipend, I give you the Chinese definition. It really means a salary. A one-bedroom apartment, and travel reimbursement, and a studio. That looks really good. But bear in mind, if you are confused, if you need more information about something, never hesitate to ask questions. For example, here, my question is the travel reimbursement. Reimbursement meaning you pay for something first, then you keep the receipts. You turn the receipt to the organization, and they will pay you back the money. Okay, so that sounds good. So I would love to find out if the travel reimbursement covers the airfare from my hometown to Indiana, for example. If that is paid for, that is a big bonus. And the questions such as do they cover the materials? How about the meals or the health insurance and things like that? Try to get them clarified as much as possible, so you can budget yourself accordingly and find out if you can really afford such residency. Okay, I hope everything so far and you are following me. And if I'm speaking too fast or not clear enough, please let me know. I would slow it down. If there's nothing, I'll keep going. The next slide shows the studio space with the Alex Brown, the fully funded residency. My apology, the clarity of the photo is not super good, but you can see it's quite good with a big window, lots of lights, lots of working space. To me, it's quite good. So, if you are interested, perhaps you should apply. So let's look at what are the basic requirements. You should submit the following. Submit means to turn in. You can turn in the following. First, an audit statement, a proposal of what you wanted to do during your residency, a portfolio of your representative works, the works that tell people about you and that give people understanding of your creativity. Next, letters of recommendations. And some artist programs, artist residency programs will specify where the recommendations come from. So you might want to pay attention to that. They may require you to get recommendations from your professors. If the professors are not available, perhaps your employer and things like that. And also take a note, the deadline and the duration. And see if you could be able to stay that long. Some are few weeks, some are few months, and don't miss the deadline. Okay, so when you apply, you need to submit statements and proposals. And here I just want to remind you some points. When you write, always ask yourself, are my messages clear? Are my messages to the point? Remember, when we write, we need to put ourselves in the position of the reader. We constantly ask ourselves and see, can the reader understand what I said? Is it clear? Is it to the point? Next, use simple and clear sentences that succinctly communicate ideas and avoid wordy sentences. Keep it simple and keep it clear, because succinct sentences can easier communicate ideas. Remember, try not to be too wordy. Get rid of the redundant words. And next, try to think in English to avoid writing in Chinese English. This is quite important because when you write your statements in English, try to get yourself in the English writing mode so that your structure will be more like English instead of Chinese. Next, like I said earlier, watch out for redundant words. So you may ask me, what are redundant words? Do you have any examples? So next slide, I'll give you some examples of redundant words. So examples of redundant words. Small or large in size. Small and large are already sizes, so the word in size is really redundant. True facts. Facts are true. That's why they are called facts. So it's redundant to say true. Basic fundamentals. Basic and the fundamentals are pretty much the same word, so you don't want to repeat yourself. Past history. History happened in the past. So when you put a past in front of history, that sounds redundant. Smile happily. Most of us smile because we're happy. So use happily to describe smile sounds redundant. Evolve over time. If you know the word evolve, 演变, that means it takes time. So over time is not the word over time there is not necessary. Merge together. Merge means combine. So combine is being together. So we just say merge. 12 midnight. Midnight is 12, right? So no need to say 12. Same thing for noon. I will meet you at noon. Next one, free gift. Gifts are free. So gifts are, so no need to write free. New discovery. When we discover something, it's always new. Something new. So we don't say new discovery. Repeat again. When we repeat, that means you do again. So we don't need again. Circle around. Circle is already meaning turn around with the motion of around. So you can just say circle. The hot summer sun. Sun is already hot, and we know it's very, very hot. So you could simply say the summer sun. Previous experience. Experience come from your past, and the previous is not really needed here. Period of 6 years. 6 years is a period already. We all have different periods of time, so we don't need period. The reason why is that reason is to tell why. So you could simply say the reason is that. Okay, so I think I give you some of the typical redundant words, and watch out for this word. Watch out for redundant words in your own writing. Okay, so I found this slide online, and I hope the creator wouldn't mind I borrow it, because I think it's quite common. First, it says improve the problem. We don't really say improve the problem, because improve problem meaning you make the problem worse. So instead of saying improve the problem, you should say solve the problem. And the improve, you could say I want to improve my English. Next, save money in the bank. When we go to the bank, the verbs we use are deposit or withdraw. The word save is how much money you save, right? So I saved $5 because I bought this pair of shoes on discount. Next, join an exam. We don't join an exam. We can join a basketball team. We can take a test, but we don't join the exam. Improve procrastination. This is quite similar to the first one, improve the problem. You could say, I want to get rid of my procrastination. I want to stop procrastinating. Next, open a check. We sign a check, we can write a check, we don't open a check. The same thing applies to you don't open a TV, you turn on the TV, you don't open the light. you turn on the light and things like that. Make sure you use the right verb. Okay, so next, I give you some other examples of what we call Chinglish. Chinglish is basically the combination of Chinese and English. Don't look at the one that mark errors. Look at the one that has a check mark, meaning they are correct. So first one, we said do homework. So have you done your homework? I'm doing my homework. Second one, heavy rain. Or the heavy could be an adverb. It's raining heavily. Next one, take medicine. Next, reduce costs. And then you can follow on the left-hand side to see if you said it incorrectly, and then it's a good time to make a note and not to say the wrong ones in the future. And then work together. We don't say co-work. You could say co-worker. Co-worker is the person who work with you, but the verb is to work together. The next one is quite common. There is, there are. Don't say there have. Next, I really like art. I really like the landscape. Don't say I very like. That is a very typical Chinglish. Next, I've been to America. I've been to Canada. The Chinglish version is I have ever been to. You don't really need the ever because that sounds quite translated from English, Chinese. So okay, great. So I think most of you probably already familiar with some of these corrections. Then we'll go to the next slide. So in the previous section, we talked about applying to our residency programs around the world, and it's something that not everybody wants to do, because some people may want to study abroad or to be a student abroad. And then this part of the talk will go to, we'll discuss why studying abroad. And I come up with 3 reasons. First, to immerse yourself in different surroundings and a set of challenges. Like I said earlier, in our residency programs, different environments are really beneficial to your art creation. And when you get out of your comfort zone and face different challenges that are also beneficial to your experience. So I think that is a very good reason to motivate you to study abroad. Next, to expand your horizon and be more globally oriented. When we live in our city or when we live in our village, our horizon is limited. And when we have opportunity to expand it, you should take it and be more globally oriented. There are different techniques, technology, philosophy, values happening around the world, and in order to expose yourself to different experiences, studying abroad is a good way. Next, an advanced degree may open more doors for your future profession. Some of you might want to be a professor in the future, or art therapist, curator, art dealer, auctioneers. All these professions may require an advanced degree. So if you have an advanced degree that comes from somewhere overseas, that could be quite helpful in your future career as you become more globally oriented. In the following slides, I'll give you some examples from some top art universities around the world. And the first one I'll give you is an MFA from Yale. Yale is one of the top art schools in the world. It has a very good art program. And this is one of the buildings in Yale, and look at how beautiful it is. It's quite historical. So some selling points for an MFA from Yale. Because Yale has a long history with its School of Art. So by being a student there, you can make contacts with gallery owners, and some Yale MFA students have their artworks in major exhibitions before they even graduate. This is a very valuable opportunity because when you have the right contacts, the road ahead of you could be quite easy. Another reason for MFA from Yale is this is something recent. If you are into dramatic arts, Yale's drama school goes tuition-free. And his drama school include areas of study such as acting, design, technical design, stage management, and directing. And when we say tuition-free, I mean, remember this is a private university, and usually the tuition is quite high. And if it's tuition-free, it's very good news. And recently, Yale got a donation of about 150 million US dollars. And this is the reason why they could be able to offer their program without asking students to pay tuition. So let's go to the next slide. This is Yale's School of Drama. Again, in a very beautiful building. The paragraph I included on this slide are taken directly from their application. And here you can see word for word what is required and what should be included. The MFA design application, which means costume, lighting, projection, set, and sound. An application should include a required statement for purpose, resume, one letter of recommendation, and in addition to name and address of 2 other references, and an academic transcript, and the submission of portfolio. If specified, applicants should submit a digital portfolio through the online application. And the portfolio is not an advertisement and should not be dressed up to sell oneself. So his design department include costume, lighting, and projection. Set means the set design on stage. And it actually include a statement of purpose. Resume is 履历表. Another word to say resume is CV. And one letter of recommendation. Here it says name and address of 2 other references. Recommendation is someone who write the good words for you, who recommend you as an artist or as a student. And references are people who they might call to confirm. So basically, you just give name and address. And if they need to confirm, they will contact the reference. Transcript means a piece of paper with all the grades you got during the 4 years in the university. And in this application, it's quite interesting that it mentioned portfolio is not an advertisement and should not be dressed up to sell oneself. You might take a minute to think, what does that mean? What is to dress up? What is to sell oneself? Many students would design a portfolio that is specifically showing all the advantages of their past achievements. They will come up with new artwork just for the school. So in this sentence, it says dressed up, and they don't want this kind of presentation of your work. They want artwork that is comprehensive from what you have done earlier, and perhaps an evolution of your collection that includes different phases of your artistic thinking and even ideas, social, environmental, or political, instead of just works that is quite dressed up, that represent always the best of you. And to sell, to sell oneself, almost become a salesman or a salesperson. And here I include a slide of one of the Yale MFA graduates. We are probably quite familiar with who she is. She's a Meryl Streep. She graduated from Yale in 1975 with an MFA degree from School of Drama. And I love her movies, especially with her being the boss of a design company, and her other movies such as Death Becomes Me or Mamma Mia. And here is another example with what we call CalArts. CalArts is California Institute of the Arts. Before I keep going with applying to graduate school and to earn an MFA, I forgot to mention earlier in my slide that another way to study abroad is through your school and to study with your partner university around the world. And I'm not going to go into too much about that because you can contact the Office of International Affairs for a list of available schools. And I actually took a look of the schools available at your university. There are many choices actually, and there are many updates. So you can contact your Office of International Affairs for more information about that. Here I will focus more about studying abroad and get an MFA, and then maybe an MFA from CalArts. We look at the selling points of Yale, the School of Art with Yale, and the School of Drama with Yale. And now let's look at the selling points of CalArts. CalArts was founded in 1960 by Walt Disney himself. As I think we all know who Walt Disney is. Right? He was the person who created Disneyland, and as a result, CalArts retained strong ties to Hollywood and the media industry in California. Retain is the key, so it still has a strong relationship with the media industry, with the movie industry in Hollywood. And imagine you are the student there, and you get directors and celebrities coming to your school and check out your artwork, and that is totally amazing. CalArts boasts 8 galleries dedicated to showing students' artworks and help students get used to hanging and presenting art in various forms. Boast means be proud of. So CalArts is very proud of having 8 galleries, especially built for students' artworks. I think it's quite amazing to have 8 galleries available for students' artwork. I remember when I was in school, there was just one gallery. So in order to get in a show is quite competitive. So with 8 gallery, that is totally awesome. And the students could be able to show their sculpture, their fiber art, their media art, their mixed media, their video work. And here is one of the CalArts galleries. And this is probably an exhibition of a lightning show. And then look at how high the ceiling is, and the facilities, and the environment. And that is an envy. Next, I give you 2 examples of top art schools in the world, and you might think, wow, they are great, but let's talk about money. Can I do it? Can I afford it? Here I'm doing some math for you and some numbers. Tuition for full-time study at the Yale Graduate School of Arts and Sciences for the academic year 2021 to 2022 is $45,700 US. And of course, to get the exact number, and you might want to convert it into Taiwan dollars, and that would be something you can have a more realistic feeling of how much that could be. So we multiply it by 30, and that comes out $1.3 million. To be exact, 1,371,000 new Taiwan dollars. That is just for one academic year. So I probably know your feelings like, oh my God, this is too much. This is not possible. I can afford it. And because Yale is a graduate, it's a private school, its tuition might be a little bit higher than other schools. But remember, as a foreign student, you have to pay foreign student tuition. So that amount is always going to be high. So I just give you probably on the higher end. It could be a little bit less with other school, but it's always to over budget yourself, just to give you some room for adjustment. So besides tuition, there are also fees for books, health insurance, housing, registration, materials, application. And the registration, housing, application, there are other fees. So I just mentioned the basic ones. Registration means 注册. You are familiar with that money. So remember this number, because I will do other calculation for you. So you might think, wow, my God, that's expensive. I don't know if I can afford it. Where can I earn some money? Can I find jobs? What can I do? So foreign students in the US are eligible, meaning qualified, to work on campus for up to 20 hours per week during the fall and the spring semesters, and then 40 hours per week during the summer and winter breaks. Remember, foreign students may not work off campus, meaning outside of school. If you are caught working outside of school, you might get yourself trouble, and in worst scenario, you may be deported. So, but I do know students working off campus under the table, but I wouldn't suggest doing that, because there are plenty of jobs on campus. Jobs such as stocking supply, cleaning the facilities, putting on display, and things like that. But remember, some of the jobs are paid at minimum wage. So that kind of jobs may not help you that much money to cover the high tuition. So that's why in the next slide, I will discuss what is the best on-campus job. I think my recommendation for the best on-campus job is to work as a teaching or research assistant. And the average graduate teaching assistant salary is $43,556 per year, or about $20.94 per hour in the United States. And the average graduate research assistant salary is $37,480, $482 per year, or $18.02 or 2 cents per hour, $18.02 per hour in the United States. And I did the math for you. Remember the Yale University, for one academic year is $45,700. And then if you subtract, the $43,500 from being a graduate teaching assistant, you pay $2,200 per year, per academic year. I think that number looks much better, and it's definitely more affordable. So I did a little math for you. Hopefully that sounds more doable. So let's go to the next slide. You might wonder, what does a TA do? There are several things TA do. I think it's probably not very different from what TAs do in Taiwan. First, TAs prepare and give lectures. Of course, lectures are mainly given by professors, but TAs may give supplementary lectures, the lectures that help explain professors' points. Lead discussion groups, prepare and check assignments, especially the assignments involve true, false, or multiple choice questions. Assist students, help professors with daily activities such as PowerPoint, taking roles, hold review sessions before exams. And in the review sessions, you will answer students' questions, and hopefully they can do well on the exams. So here is what a TA does. And I think this experience could be quite beneficial if you want to be a teacher in the future, and this definitely gives you good teaching experience with the students. So an assistantship is basically an arrangement between graduate student and the university, whereby the student is asked by the department to assist in research or teaching while studying in the school. Here's TA, but we also have a RA, which is research assistant. Their jobs could be a little bit, I don't want to say easier, but maybe less complicated, because the research direction is given by a professor, and you follow the professor's direction. So you think that maybe I could afford it. Maybe my parents can help part of the tuition, and I could work hard as a TA or RA. To apply, first, meet the language requirement. Generally, a minimum of 81 out of 120 on TOEFL and 6.5 out of 9 on IELTS are required. When it comes to international English proficiency tests, TOEFL and IELTS are most widely accepted. TOEFL is mainly for students applying to schools in Canada and USA, and IELTS is for students going to UK, maybe Australia. Remember, because both tests are acceptable, so the scores are convertible or interchangeable. Both TOEFL and IELTS tests you on reading, listening, writing, and speaking. And then some people may ask questions such as, which one is easier? Which one is easier? You get better chance of getting high scores. I don't have an answer to that because they are designed to be equally challenging. So to do well on the test, first, develop a habit of practicing these 4 parts daily. I underline daily because I have so many students who just want to study for this test during for 3 months or even like 6 months before taking a test. I don't find that very practical, and because it should be something that you do daily. There isn't a shortcut. Make sure you practice English every day in reading or listen, especially now with so many programs on YouTube and a lot of people watch Netflix. You can try to speak to your friends in English. You can write to your pen pals or to your foreigner friends in English. You have a lot of chance in practicing daily. Other requirements: submit a portfolio that gives the school a sense of you, your interests, and your willingness to experiment, explore, and think beyond technical skills. I underline the words experiment and explore. As an artist, these two words are very important because a lot of people focus on technical skills. But remember, technical skills can only give you ways to create something. What makes it exciting, what gives it depth is not the technical skill, but your spirit of explore further and to do experiments that show what's really inside of you. Next, remember to mesh great ideas. Mesh, just like we know about fabric. Mesh is to mix together or to combine. To remember, mix great ideas, political, environmental, or even social within your work. Think about your portfolio as a gallery show you are curating. So as a curator, when you curate a show, you include a spectrum of artwork showing different perspectives. This is something you need to do in your portfolio. Next, submit letters of recommendation and again, transcripts. A piece of paper showing your grades from 4 years in school. Usually, people would come up with a portfolio statement to go along with the portfolio. And your portfolio statement should tell us about the work in your portfolio. And why did you make it? And how did you make it? And what inspired you to make it? And what does your artistic process look like? Share why you are interested in utilizing certain materials. And finally, how have specific experiences contributed to the creation of your work? I think in the statements, to write a better statement, sometimes it's easier to come up with appropriate questions. And with the questions in front of you, it's less likely you will stray or talk about something that is not important. So to ask the right question is equally important in helping you write a good statement. Again, pay attention to the words that I underline and see if you understand the meaning of it. For example, specific means something that is that stand out, that is not ambiguous. Utilizing meaning to use, and contribute to, lead to, or resulted in. In the last statement, I talked to you about artistic process, and you might think, what is artistic process and what is it about? Yes, I know what is my artistic process, but it's difficult to make it into words, and it's only in my mind. They are only they are there, but it's difficult to describe. To help to inspire you, here are some pages from the notebook of Jean-Michel Basquiat. You might already be familiar with his work, but if you are not, he was an American artist. His work is part of this neo-expressionism movement, and as you look at his notebook, you'll see a lot of sense of dichotomy, such as rich versus poor, integration versus segregation, inner versus outer. And in his notebook, you will see a lot of words written in it, and these words are sources of his inspiration. And that's one way we try to understand artist philosophy and ways to stimulate creativity. There are different ways to stimulate creativity. One way is to expose yourself to different environments. We have both physical environment and the mental environment. Physical environment could be change of places you create your artwork. You may create your artwork in your studio, but then you could consider other places, such as in a park or in a friend's house. When you change the physical environment, you may come up with something that's different, and you may think differently. Another way to stimulate creativity is to change your mental environment. We all have something that we like to do, For example, you might like to read comic books, and reading comic books is something how you stimulate. But remember, you could read other books that you don't usually read, such as books about philosophy, for example. And you'll get a different mindset when you read something that's entirely out of your comfort zone, and something you find challenging, you struggle with the ideas. And then when you struggle, something in you, something new may come up in you. And in this slide, I think you will see things such as he wrote there, sickles, forks, and axes, and slave ship. And Basquiat, when he was alive, he was very much against colonialism, and he support class struggle, and that's why you will see in his notebook. And next, show the world your thoughts. As an artist, it's always your thoughts that encourage you and me to keep creating. And it's important to find ways to get our thoughts out and expressed first in the journal and later in your artwork. Show the world your passion. Sometimes when we go to art show, we may not have the chance to meet the artist, but we can sense through the artwork the person's passion. The ideas are very strong, and it gives you strong impact right there, right then, and you will keep looking at the artwork thinking, wow, it's really powerful. So this is a picture of Jean-Michel Basquiat, and he unfortunately died when he was 27 due to heroin overdose. One of his artwork was sold at auction $110.5 million US, one of the highest price ever sold, one of the most expensive artwork ever sold. Next topic that I want to include is working holiday. There are opportunities around the world for you to create art or study art. For some reasons, pursuing a degree abroad may not be doable. There are other opportunities, and here is another one, working holiday. Many countries around the world allow young people from Taiwan to work there temporarily. When I say temporarily, it could mean 1 year. Some are extendable to 2 years. The countries include New Zealand, Australia, Japan, Canada, Korea, Germany, United Kingdom, Ireland, Belgium, Slovakia, Poland, Hungary, Austria, France, Czech Republic, Luxembourg, and Netherlands. Most people are quite familiar with working holiday in Australia because that's where most of the young people in Taiwan go to. But look at this list, the opportunities all over the world in different continents. So why not taking an opportunity to work abroad? Like I said, Some people associate working holidays with Australia. Then when people think of working holiday in Australia, they think about picking fruit. Remember, it's not always about picking fruit. You could do other things. I'm not saying picking fruit is bad, because look at this young man in the photo. He looks quite happy. But what I'm saying is, you do have choices. If you wanted to do art-related job, they are available for you. But you have to look around. Working holiday doesn't have to be meat processing. Another popular job opportunity for working holiday workers working in a meat factory, processing meat. It doesn't have to be you. So, examples of art-related jobs. Like I've told you, jobs doesn't have to be picking fruit or processing meat. So I did a little research on my own to see if there are art-related jobs. So I picked out two of them just to show you. One is in Australia and one is in Canada. One is an art technician in Brighton, Victoria, Australia. This job the job responsibility include prepare materials and equipment for art lessons, including preparation of demonstration materials and the resources and stocking classrooms with consumable items. So the job really involves your understanding of the materials and the art-related equipment, and consumable meaning things that is used in the classroom. So as a art student, you may have a good understanding of the equipment and how to set up demonstration, and this could be a good job. Another one is a junior designer in Vancouver, Canada. Your job is to support the lead designer in designing and maintaining websites for the travel and hospitality industry. When we say hospitality industry, it really means the hotel, motel, holiday resort business. And here you help the lead designer in designing websites. So if you are if you are capable of doing web design, and this is great news. Again, these are just examples, and you can do some research and find out other related jobs. Okay. In addition to working holiday, you can also show your talent on the street. What I meant is, while doing working holiday, say you don't find a job that is art related, and you really want to show your talent. I think street performance or busking is a good choice. Busking is another word for street performance, and it is the act of performing in public places for money. When people find your act entertaining, you are rewarded with applause and cash. Entertaining meaning it's funny, and people find it interesting, and you bring smiles to their face. And in return, they'll give you some change or even some paper bills. You might think that, performing on the street, I don't know, it sounds kind of scary, it sounds kind of, you may even think that it's low. But let me remind you many celebrities started off as street performers, such as Ed Sheeran. We are all familiar with his song, and one of my favorite songs from him is Photographs. Other celebrities such as Tracy Chapman, and her favorite, one of my favorite songs is Fast Car, and Robin Williams, we're familiar with him. Unfortunately, he is no longer with us. He was in Jumanji, Good Will Hunting, Rod Stewart. His famous song is Sailing. Pierce Brosnan, we're familiar with him because he was one of the 007. And the last, Passenger is a band. My point is, many celebrities started off performing on the street. And the street can be a great stage. And you can be the next Ed Sheeran if you are not too shy and you're confident enough to share your talent with all the people pass by you. So you might think that, yeah, most of the street performers are singers and I don't sing, so I can't be a street performer. So remember, street performers can do other things. And here's an example. Here's a balloon twister. I find balloon twisters amazing. They could create instant art and bring smiles to people's faces. If you know some tricks twisting balloons, this might be for you. Next, caricature artist. Caricature is a way to paint someone in a comical or funny way. And you can see in the picture. So if you are a good artist, if you can sketch very well, this could be a choice. If you are a performance artist, the street could be your stage. Remember, when you perform on the street, you may be recorded because most people, almost everyone has a smartphone, and with the smartphone, people record you, and if they like you, they will put you on their Instagram, on their Facebook. They may even upload you on YouTube. And with this free publicity, I don't know why people wouldn't want to take advantage of it. And people's talent can be found out through this way. And here is an example. Or you could be a living statue. We have this also in Taiwan. I've seen them. And to be a living statue, you probably need a lot of patience. And you need to stay immobile for a good amount of time. But again, look at how much happiness this living statue has brought to the little. Or you can play an instrument with a friend. And this is a great way to share your music with the world. So, like I said, you think that I'm too shy. I don't know how to. I don't know what to perform on the street. I don't have the experience. So here are some points or some tips on street performing. First, choose a talent that you are most proud of and present it in a unique way. When I say unique way, meaning look at what other people do and find a way that make you different. There are a lot of singers, dancers, performance artists, and people may find these acts too common. So you need to do something a little bit different to attract people's attention. Your performance should last at least an hour, so that people may think if your performance too short, people may think that that's all you have, and they may not stay too long to give you the applause. And so make sure you have at least an hour, and ignore negative responses. This is very important, because when we perform, we will see people roll their eyes and people laugh at you. Try to ignore those and look away. Don't focus on those negative responses. Instead, focus on the positive responses, and that will give you confidence to keep going. Make an effort to improve with each performance. After you perform, make sure you improve. So next time you perform, you do better. Check the laws on busking in your area. Every city is different in terms of how strict they regulate street performing. In some cities, the regulation is next to nothing, as long as you don't block the traffic. But in certain cities, they regulate very much. So look into that. Find a spot with lots of foot traffic. Foot traffic is very important in terms of how much money you can. Foot traffic in Chinese, it sounds like a lentao. Next, set a simple yet eye-catching stage. It's important to have a stage because if you don't, people may mistake you as someone who is asking for money on the street. So make sure you have a stage and that differentiate you from those people. So after you have a stage set up, you have your ideas ready, then you might think, oh my God, how am I going to make the performances profitable? Profitable meaning able to make money. First, you need to set out a tip jar with tips appreciated written on it. In America, tip jars are everywhere. And many people make good money with these jars placed in public places. Try to stand up. You become more noticeable. Unless your performance requires you to sit down, I highly recommend that you stand up, because that way you are noticeable and you are not mistaken as people asking for money. Display confidence in body language. make sure you look confident. And in the next slide, I will show you what is confident body language. I think that's easier to have to show you with our body. Next, welcome audience participation. It's important to invite artists to join your show so that audience would feel he's part of the fun, part of the excitement. The audience you could invite the audience to hold a tour and sing a song together and ask him to draw something for you and things like that. And last, design a headline to close out your act. A headline is something like, thank you for watching. If you like to contribute to what I do, tip jar is going around. Basically, it's a way to show your gratitude and hopefully when they are in the area, they come to see you again. And thank them sincerely, thank the audience members sincerely, and sometimes personally too. So this is the body language I was talking to you about, do's and don'ts. What you need to do is open gaze, smile, open palms, with a good posture, hands naturally on the sides, and open your feet 6 to 8 inches apart. On the other hand, don't look down. Don't slump. Slump is, 驼背, and hold drink at chest. Hands behind back or in pocket, and the feet together. So the confident posture conclude the section where you can perhaps do a good performance on the street. And my last part of the talk is to review the underlying words with you. And I typed out the words here, and these are the words that I think will be quite beneficial in your future language learning. And if you didn't jot them down, I'm sure the department will put this video on the YouTube, and you can pause and jot down the words and find out the meaning. And next time when you see these words again, you will think, I know it. My last slide is pretty much it's the summary. My summary is very short. Just some reminder that create your life the way you create your art. Give it colors, give it depth, give it vitality. And there are opportunities around the world waiting for you to explore and grab these opportunities. Lastly, make time to practice English daily. Make it into a habit, and that would be worth it when you need to take tests in English, maybe in the future. And lastly, thank you for listening.